Howdy, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today I need me some pin punches, or specifically I need a pin punch that's just a little bit smaller than a 1/4 inch for a little thing that I'm piddling with. So I couldn't find anything that I really liked to buy that didn't cost $50. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a grade 8 bolt, 1/4 inch bolt, and a piece of 5/8 bar stock, and I'm going to make my handle out of this, and then we're going to glue the bolt into this and make us a pin punch. Now I've got to turn this down to a little bit, probably about the size of a number 1 drill bit, and I will drill the hole in here for a number 1 drill bit, and hopefully that will produce some sort of a pin punch. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I've already got this faced off, and I put a little bitty center in there. Now I need to just turn down that bolt head. And this is a grade 8 bolt, and it don't turn real good. It's a little bit hateful. Whoop. Especially when your collet ain't tight. So I've got the bolt head turned off, and it's turned down to roughly the same diameter as the rest of the bolt. Now a 1/4 inch bolt is not going to be a 1/4 inch through the straight part of the bolt. It's going to be a little bit undersized, which is okay. But we're still going to make it round because a bolt ain't round. So we'll stick this thing out, get it readjusted every which way, and then we'll take a couple of little bitty skim passes on it. All right, so we got her out here. I got everything tightened, I hope. So we need to take this down to about 226 or 28 thousandths. Even if it ends up being 228, it'll be fine. And the reason I say that is a number 1 drill bit is about 228. So we're going to try to turn this down to as close to 228 thousandths, at least on the end, as we can get it. And really all we care about is 228 thousandths on the end and round through the rest of it, because it's already smaller than a 1/4 inch. So that's what I'm going to do next, is very slowly just take off a couple thousandths off of this and get it round and down. So let's see what we got. Surface finish ain't terrible, it ain't great, but it is what it is. So I kind of overshot down here this last 5/8 of an inch. Let's just say that don't count. So we've got 226, 227, 229, 229 and a half. About 228, 228. So I was aiming for 228. So obviously, you know, this is a 1/4 inch piece of rod here. This is going to have a lot of flex. This is about, I don't know, 5-6 inches long, 5.5 inches long from the end of my collet to the center. So that's a lot of stick out on a 1/4 inch bar, even, you know, as light of cuts as I was taking. So obviously I couldn't just hope for the best here or, you know, to get the best surface finish out here in the middle. And, you know, with that much material deflection, you're going to have, the middle's always going to be bigger than the ends. And this lathe cuts a slight taper. I need to adjust that out of it, but you know, I'm within 2 thousandths of one end to the other on 5 inches on a 1/4 inch bar. That's good enough for probably about as good as this lathe is ever going to do. So I'm going to take this piece out, cut the end of it off, flip it around, face it off, and then we'll start working on the 5/8 piece that I'm going to use for the handle. So I drilled my number one drill bit, which is nominally 228 thousandths into this end, and it is a sloppy fit. I don't know, I don't have pin gauges or any way to measure anything, a hole that small, but that is a sloppy fit. So I went to a number 2 drill bit on the other end, and it's a perfect fit. Just like I wanted. So I mic'd this 3 or 4 times, and this measures right at 228 and probably a quarter, maybe 228 and a half. So this is 228 thousandths, and I drilled it with a drill bit that should have drilled a 221 thousandths hole, and then ended up with probably about 200 and I'd call it 230 thousandths is what it ended up being. So that just kind of shows you when you're drilling a hole in a lathe, you're always going to end up with a little bit bigger hole than you think you should. It is what it is. I kind of planned for that. That's why I made my handle, or didn't cut this handle blank down. I guess my next step now will be to cut this down. I'll cut this end of it off, and I don't know, may go ahead and glue this together, and that'll give us something to hold on to while we're putting the knurl on here. I think I'll put a nice little pretty knurl on here, and maybe turn the ends down just slightly. So let's get something done. All right then, I've got her running between centers. And I'm going to bring my pinch knurler up here, and I'm going to knurl this thing with the pinch knurler. And then I think I'll be pretty much done. So I'll get her knurled and cleaned up here on the edges, and we'll have a final look at the thing. So there we go. Now my knurl, I got a goofy knurl on the end of it right here, but you know what? We can't always be perfect. I do like the way that it turned out. This is exactly what I needed. And I think with having the grade 8 bolt in here for the pin, I think that's going to be hard enough to survive being beat on, and yet not brittle. So, well, time will tell. Certainly going to work better than just what I've been using, which I'm not even going to say on camera what I've been using. But I think this will do my job for me. Certainly looks better and probably going to last longer than what I've been using. So, y'all drive safe, watch for deer, and have a Merry Christmas.